Hey everyone, it's Caleb from Draft Studios here. Thanks for watching this. If you guys like what you see, please subscribe, comment, and leave a like to show that you guys appreciate our work. Anyways, let's get on with our topic. Today we're talking about the Inductrix FPV, or as we call them, whoops. Probably the main reason I prefer flying whoops over 5 inches is portability. Unlike 5 inches, you can fly whoops inside, and that allows you to fly practically anywhere you want to at any time. Whoops are also able to crash a lot better. Unlike 5 inches, where a crash can lead to a structural failure, in whoops, a light crash normally just means that you bounce against a wall and nothing is damaged. The only serious crash I've had is where I hit someone's ceiling fan, slammed into a wall, and bent my camera. But even then, the whoop itself was still operatable, and a camera is an easy replacement that cost under $20. Whoops are also extremely inexpensive. You can get started for about $100 for the whoop itself, plus a transmitter on top of that. Not just that, it's a great way to learn how to fly FPV. Besides just cost of just owning a whoop, batteries for whoops also cost a lot less, as well as replacement motors. They use brushed motors which need to be replaced a lot more often, but at the same time they're also a lot cheaper. Batteries for whoops often cost around $10 to $20 for a pack of 4, and you can get about 3 to 4 minutes of flight time from each battery, meaning an additional 12 minutes of flight time will only set you back about $10. Are also a lot less expensive than chargers for full-size LiPo batteries. They're also a lot less dangerous, meaning you don't have the risk of catching your entire house on fire with a battery. In summary, whoops are a great way to get started flying with your friends or your family, and are a cheap and easy way into this hobby that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise. So this is my whoop setup right here. I'm using a stock Inductrix FPV. The camera's the same, the flight board's exactly the same. The only difference I made was changing over the battery connector from a JST 1.25 to a JST 2.0, which allows a lot more power transfer. Besides just that, I upgraded my motors as well, and I'll put links down in the description for the motors that I used. And I changed out my props from the stock 4-blade to tri-blade clear props, which definitely allow a lot more maneuverability. Now, a lot of people also upgrade the camera as well from the stock Inductrix camera, and you can definitely do that, but I prefer to use the stock one. For I find it a lot easier to use, even though it only has a dipole antenna, while some people may prefer a cloverleaf. The flightboard as well, I didn't change because I don't really have a real need currently to change to a Betaflight enabled flight controller. This flight controller serves the purpose that I needed to with my Spektrum DXE, and I don't see any reason why I would change it. Now this whole entire whoop setup runs pretty dang fast, and it costs, for me, less than $130 because I got the transmitter for free from Adam. The whoop itself was $100, batteries and the new connector were $10, and the motors were $10 to $20. Now this is a very cheap setup that will get you going very, very fast. This is probably the fastest you're going to need for indoor flying, because it's not really about speed, it's more about pilot skill. And that's one more thing that I really like about whoop flying. You can make a lot of really, really hard courses in your house without dedicating a lot of time and money to making gates. You can just fly around tables, or go indoors, around shelves. The batteries that I chose to use were the Crazy Pony 260 milliamp 3.8 volt batteries. They're 1S LiPos that have a 30C power rating, and they come in 2 different sizes, a long size and a short and wide size. I have 4 of each type, though I prefer the long size because they're easier to slip into the bottom of the Inductrix frame. For charging, you can either get a parallel board that plugs into your LiPo charger, or you can get something like this, a balance board, which you can either plug in using micro USB or using a LiPo. I would definitely get the charging board because it makes charging a lot of batteries easier. If you use a parallel charging board, you have to make sure that the voltage of your batteries is all the same before you put them on, while if you use a balance board, such as this, you don't have to do that. You just plug in the batteries, plug in the board, and you're set, and they're charging. I'm using Betaflight FPV props. These tri-blade props offer a lot more power and punch than the 4-bladed props that come with this quad. Now for my radio and my video receiver setup, I have a DXE, which I have because Adam has a newer version, and I'm using the Eachine goggles. The Eachine goggles I definitely like. They're a cheap pair of goggles, about 50 bucks, and I did a DVR mod on them where I basically soldered on a DVR on top to get DVR and a pretty nice pair of goggles for $70. Then I have a newer version that has DVR built in, as well as both a patch antenna and a cloverleaf antenna for using for video. And those are $70, which is a great alternate if you don't have the money to spend on a pair of Fat Shark. It also makes the cost of your total setup going from about $300 to $350 if you can manage to find a transmitter for about $200. The Inductrix binds to all Spektrum transmitters, not just the DX8, so you can go with the cheapest option out there. This will save you a lot of costs, but it's better to pick a nice transmitter if you know that you're going to be in the hobby for the long run. If you pick a nice transmitter now, you're going to save on upgrading to a better one later once you have full-size quad and you're running a lot of them at the same time. Now, I've flown on both the ready-to-fly transmitter and my Spektrum, and I can tell you it's definitely worth it to upgrade to the Spektrum transmitter for a little bit more money. The feeling of the gimbals is a lot better, which makes flight a lot easier to do. Believe it or not, it actually improved my performance, I'm pretty sure, switching from the stock ready-to-fly transmitter to the nice DXE gimbals. Now that's it for my setup. It's a pretty simple setup, and it's cheap. You can get my goggles for $50 or upgraded goggles for $70, and you can get a pretty nice Spektrum transmitter for around $200. Now to bind the DX8 to your Inductrix, all you need to do is go into bind mode with your DX8 while you have the Inductrix plugged in. That's it. There's no binding switch on the flight board. You just have to hold down the bind button, turn on your transmitter, have your Inductrix on, and it'll bind like that. Quick and easy. Some people can simply change flight modes by toggling the gyro switch right here, all the way down, then all the way up, and that changes their mode. Now this is probably the main loss that you're going to have by using the stock Inductrix flight board. You won't be able to configure in beta flight, and you won't be able to use higher rates for super high kV motors. However, it also cuts down on the cost a lot. Now that all the boring stuff about specs and stuff is done, let's go for a little flight to show you exactly how the Woo performs.